Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space. My wife laughs at me every time I say that because it's just like of the crypto space. It's like a Twitch effect you gotta have in order to do it right. Wednesday, 11:57 a.m. on a September 16th. Give me 2 seconds. Let me just check and make sure my audio is good to go. GTG. Boom, boom. Mic check, mic check. 1, 2. Yes. Yes. Welcome, everybody, to another wonderful stream where we get to talk about the shit that actually matters in life. How to make a difference in our lives. We are, in a sense, our portfolio. We are crafting ourselves. We are crafting the manifestation of ourselves, a representation of ourselves. Every aspect of a portfolio is reflective of our personality. How about that shit? All right. So the title of our stream today is Crypto Market Carnage, How to Handle It. So there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about today. Right, script? I got issues. Fun stuff, fun stuff. Nathan has a great question. So, how do you prepare before crises or pumps? So, if the market's going up or down. So, this is probably like the most, this is a perfect preface question for this entire stream. This is exactly what I want to talk about. So, let's get over to the main board. We're gonna look at some charts. And we're going to talk in the context of the change in sentiment that's occurring in the markets. So, what's quite interesting, let's start. I got the chart up, so let's start with this. This is DigiByte, baby. So, DigiByte on the 1 hour broke out of a. Let's pull it out and show the bigger picture. So it's pretty much a falling wedge, a decent falling wedge. Clearly, the slope of the support line was quite shallow, borderline descending triangle. But this is quite interesting, and I've seen this play out several times over the last couple months as a fake out breakout. Dips down, rips up. Now, this is actually really good. Like, this is trader's heaven right here. A fake out breakout, dips back down, and turns the previous resistance line into support. You don't have a more gorgeous chart than this. And this is quite refreshing to say because, we don't talk about DigiByte much on the stream lately because it's been DeFi, DeFi, DeFi. But as of today, everything's changing. And this is a perfect example of part of the sentiment that's changing. We've seen DigiByte dormant. It was in a symmetric triangle for months. And now we got fake out breakout patterns, resistance flip support, actual real chart action going on. So we break it out to the 4 hour. It looks like it hit resistance on the 200 EMA of the 4 hour. So we'll keep an eye on the 1 hour because it's way above support. Resistance flip support. So what I'd be looking for here is I'll be waiting for the next candle. We'll see how this candle closes. I bet it closes slightly above the 200 EMA, which I would define as somewhat resistance flip support. It broke through the EMA as resistance, and it obviously, if it starts to, like here, you see my mouse. If it starts to paint green up here, that's a perfect resistance flip support. Broke through and is now using the 200 EMA on the 4 hour as support. And that is a great time to buy for a trader. So, I know most folks talking DigiByte or DCA are accumulators, and I very much value that investment strategy. It is a more passive strategy. It's very effective at wealth management and growing value, and it requires less due diligence, less experimentation, less identification of a person's skills. You don't have to do as much work and effort. So a lot of trading is a learning experience. I mentioned earlier on DigiByte Signal Chat with the crew, the DigiByte crew, that it's like a lot about bodybuilding. You got to find what works for you, and that's what bodybuilders always say. Every workout strategy is different. Everyone's body reacts differently. That's the same thing with trading. Everyone either sees certain things or they don't. Folks are either digesting the data or they're not. But you have to find what works for you. Now, there's nothing wrong with DCA. Now, I think that the first thing a person really should attempt to digest is protecting gains, because that's a very emotional one, and that goes into what Nathan was talking about. Script said he definitely got more DGB last night. Look at that print. Look at that. Live on the stream. Look at that 4 hour candle. Bam! Oh, that's a beauty of a resistance flip support if I've ever seen one. Script, you got a good deal. So bear in mind, look, this thing rips to 270, 300. So, so a lot of folks are DCA, what I say is you got to test the waters. You got to get a little comfortable with doing things that are out of your comfort zone, and that's how you grow skills. So you sell in 1%, 2%, 3%, and then you have to selling it to what? What denomination? So my chosen denomination for what to accumulate is Bitcoin. And there's plenty of reasons for that. Plenty of folks who say, "No, man, there's Digibyte. You accumulate Digibyte." I love my Digibyte. Digibyte is the only UTXO project I would work for. I would do work for. It's a community, and that's meaningful. But Bitcoin is Bitcoin. There's a difference between shit that we want to be and the way it is. And it's not about accepting the way it is and being disappointed. It's just about understanding the way things are. Bitcoin is what it is. It changed the world. It is in the process of changing the world. It is the first UTXO. Period. It has all the equity of the vast majority of the equity of the crypto space. And it's the only thing large scale institutions, pension funds, whatever touch. Governments, sovereign countries, central banks. It's Bitcoin. Maybe in 5, 10 years, all coins, Ethereum, Polkadot, Cosmos. So, I mean, look at China's all in on Cosmos with IrisNet. IrisNet is a Cosmos blockchain. So, how things will play out over time, things will change, but for me, Bitcoin is a thing to accumulate. So I'm not trading Digibyte. Digibyte is a permabag, as I've defined it. You have to have I have a very clearly defined portfolio balance. I've identified particular assets for long-term holds, non-touchables, non-liquidatables, and then stuff that was always designed to, what the expectation was that it would be extremely volatile. So, okay, so how about that? So interestingly enough, I stated right now that Digibyte is a permabag. Now, if Digibyte goes to 50 cents to 75 cents in a matter of a month or two in a 2017 style event, yeah, you better change your definition of what a permabag is. Because if something goes up 10,000%, 1,000, whatever it's going to go up, it's going to come back down. And that's exactly what happened in 2017. So I went to 14 cents and bam, look where it ended up. A full retrace. But this chart looks really good. And I think it's coming back very nicely. And I think we're about to enter a risk off phase of DeFi. There's too much risk. The market sentiment is overwhelmingly changing, highlighted very clearly by the fact that Digibyte is moving. I'm really interested in this candle. This is going to be very exciting, and it's going to tell the next couple of probably the way things are going to play out at least over the next couple of days. So, if you look at the top, you filter by 24 hours. Look at the gainers. Come on, there you go. Nope. Okay, one more. All right, so Digibyte's on the top. This is not what it looked like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Look, Neo's here, Nervos Network, which is another BSN blockchain. I don't really know what a lot of these are. I mean, I know what Thor is, but are they even mainnet yet? Is this still the the BEP, whatever, the Binance asset? I don't know. When this hits mainnet, I'm gonna look back in on it. That's a good deal. Interesting. Kusama. These are blockchains. These are straight up fundamentals right here. Digibyte, fundamental, Nervos. Thor will be a blockchain of its own and very meaningful what they're trying to do. Kusama. Where's Polkadot? Excuse me. So, the whole point being, this is a very different landscape. And when you see this, you wake up one morning and this is the leaderboard. You're too late. And this is exactly why we have to be prepared to sell on the way up and sell on the way down. So take a peek. Well, let's talk Digibyte. So this thing rips 100% and it goes to 500 sats. You better sell 1, 2, 3%. And you better have accumulated probably. You could choose fiat. Maybe you want a stablecoin. Maybe you want DAI. Maybe you want USDC. For me, I have so much animosity and anger towards fiat that I wouldn't accumulate it. And that's why I have chosen Bitcoin as my denomination for where to take profits, the currency, the denomination of which I choose to take profits. Look at that. Look at that pushing up. There's a beautiful chart right here. I haven't seen Digibyte look this good in a while. That is a beautiful breakout going on. Let's take a look in the stream and see what I'm missing. Can't stop the sun from rising. That's right, Barry. RR in the house. Always a pleasure. Bada. Well, Nathan said, I've surrendered thousands of dollars panic selling into no liquidity. Well, don't you don't want to sell at a loss. You want to sell when you have gains. But you want to sell early if a loss is to be incurred. My recommendation is be very picky to buy and quick to sell. Check this out. So I'm expecting. I have a big bag of RAM, but look at this thing. This thing looks like it's about to turn support into resistance. Resistance and support into previous support into resistance. So I'm expecting another 22% dip on Ren. You got to identify buy targets right now. When this market shifted and everyone's risk off DeFi right now, everything's pushing down. So it's not the time to buy. It's the time to identify where to buy. So this orange line is a 200 EMA on the daily. This should be a great buy target. If it doesn't hit that, maybe it's not the asset you're meant to buy. You want to buy deals. You want to do what Warren Buffett said to do. You buy when everyone's fearful. If it goes down 20%, everyone's dumped. And they're very fearful. And they've sold and they were very unhappy selling. And that's exactly what you want to buy. And perfect. Another good example is Tesla. This thing is disgusting. This thing's fucking gross, guys and gals. This is horrible. But this is going to be so much pain for people, guys. Either I have no idea what the market's going to do, and the Fed and Treasury are able to pump this thing to infinity and beyond, or if technicals mean anything, if even technicals mean anything, because fundamentals sure mean jack shit. They mean absolutely nothing. But technicals, bam, you got a lower high. This right here changes the sentiment. This changes the psychology of the people that are looking at this asset. Now, clearly, it's not Robinhood traders that are looking at a chart like this. Not retail traders, but it's the institutions. And what they see right here is risk. And that's a change in sentiment. What does change in sentiment mean? That little feeling inside your stomach. There's some fund out there with $10 billion in Tesla that's a little nervous because it didn't print a higher high, and this introduces potential risk. A further downside action. A chart is either going up or it's going down. So if you didn't print a higher high and you printed a lower high, next up is a lower low. And with a volatility swing like this, This is massive. A lower low is going to potentially break through the 200 EMA on the 4 hour. And now you're getting into bearish territory, bearish confluence. You're printing a lower high. If you print a lower low, that's a bearish confluence. If you break the 200 EMA on the 4 hour, that's a bearish confluence. Now, this orange line, I believe, is, oh, it was the 200 EMA on the 4 hour. This no, price target number two is the 200 EMA on the daily. Price target number three is the 200 EMA on the weekly. So I'm going to keep these price targets because I think they're still intact, particularly the 200 EMA on the 4 hour coincides or did when I set this price target coincided nicely with the support for this most previous large leg up of basically 100%, give or take. So when this thing rips down, if it rips down, yeah, that's a price target. That's where your DCA. I'd probably get a small position. Now note a small position because you have no idea if it's going to bounce. It probably will, and that's where you sell. And then you just ride it all the way down. And this thing is going to go up and down and up and down all the way down. And now you have overwhelming bearish confluence. So I think this is so clear cut sign of bearish confluence, starting a bearish confluence. Let's take a look at Apple for a second. Oh, come on, guys. Come on, guys. Oh, this was such a top. I mean, literally, unlike Tesla, you have one, two, three. You have two lower highs and a lower low, and a third one is forming. And I even have my price target set from the other day. This market is not looking good. We haven't seen price action like this uh, since March, the beginning of the pandemic. Look at this. Yeah, Peter says day trader Dave. He's so fun. Listen, I like fun. I like Crypto Messiah. I like Little Moon Lambo. These boys are fun. It is hilarious. It's good entertainment. It's fun. And frankly, it's sometimes they have good trades, but you sure as hell got to know what you're doing. Never do what other people say to do. I find that good entertainment. I think I found this asset probably through them. Statera. Statera. And I think this is interesting. I sure as hell had a position down here and I sold it right here. I didn't think it was going to break support, and coincidentally, it didn't. And sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes the better trade maybe would have been to sell 75%, just in case it did break out of support. But my thought was that where's the marker? My thought was that we had such a sentiment shift. That's a horrible color. We had such a sentiment shift based on oh my god, at least the color. There you go. Based on the 24-hour rankings, that I didn't have faith that we would see a breakout at an ERC20. Now, this is a very interesting project. This is a hyper deflationary experiment, monetary experiment. I think this is worthwhile to keep an eye on. All things considered, even if there's a sentiment shift in DeFi, which is kind of why I have the chart up, 1% of every transaction is burned. Goes just the supply. This is a hyper supply destruction. Love it. It would be interesting if it was 10%, but 1% means there's a constant deflationary pressure, which is pretty cool. That's very interesting. From a monetary policy, woo. So yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye on that bad boy. I got a lot of stuff going on. I got some tabs up here that I want to talk about real quick. What's going on the chat? Peter says, "What's the?" Alex says, "What's the best course or ebook to start learning trading?" I don't know, man. I never looked at a book. I just looked at charts. I just Googled Investopedia, what these chart patterns are, and what you have to do is you'll eventually realize that these chart patterns are real. Meaning, you're like, why would lines on a chart mean anything? But then you see that the lines actually behave and have personality, and they respect the lines. The charts respect the lines. And then you start to understand that the charts are really representative of prevailing sentiment, people's opinions. You know, what's going on in people's minds across, many people. It's what people are thinking. It's real shit. Crazy. What I mess up higher? Uh, Bada says short term if Bitcoin falls, DGB falls. Yes. Well, UTXO land, and I think we're gonna have a big UTXO redistribution of value. I think we'll see a big risk off of crypto assets. I was thinking of DeFi Pulse of DeFi assets. And uh, where is it? Bitcoin dominance. So basically between the Bitcoin dominance chart, redraw, redraw. There you go. So I think we'll see at least a bump up to resistance on the Bitcoin dominance chart. We have very short history, obviously. Back in 2017, February 2017, it was 95, 96% Bitcoin dominant. So this all changed with the ERC20 stuff that went on in 2017. So I think we're going to at least see resistance. Whether Bitcoin breaks out and becomes dominant, I don't know, because Ethereum, Polkadot, and Cosmos are big deals. And cross-chain interoperability, the landscape has changed. So I don't know. I don't know what will play out, but what I do know is what do I know? What does Noah know? It bounced off support. So this is a clear support trend line, and the psychology behaved as such. And this little blip right here are all the people losing money in DeFi assets, and that's September 12th. And it was all these funds going back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin became more dominant and started to outperform the else market. Absolutely fascinating. Sentiment. Little lines on a chart that talk about actually what's going on. So I expect it, maybe it'll bounce off the 200 EMA and the daily to the downside, or maybe it'll bounce off the green resistance line. But the point is, between this chart and Ethereum Bitcoin, is this Ethereum BTC? Yes. Um, are my lines still there? Damn it, my lines aren't there. This is a Head and Shoulders, and I think Ethereum is going to give up some market cap to. It already broke through the 200 EMA in the 4 hour. So when I see a breakthrough at a 200 EMA in a particular hour span, I always look to the 200 EMA on the next time range. So to me, I think Ethereum gives up some dominance to Bitcoin over the short term. Obviously Ethereum is a major component of the entire crypto space. I don't see any of that being permanent. I think Ethereum is going to be massive. No reason Ethereum isn't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 grand. Come on, everything's changing, guys. But what you have to do is you have to react to data. As we say in the development space, as the programmers say, data-driven development, metrics-driven development is the best way to proceed with an application. So we're going to take actions with regard to our portfolio based on actual data that we see in the charts. So I see a Head and Shoulders top here. I see a breakthrough to the 200 EMA in the 4 hour, and I see a 15.5% downside to get to the 200 EMA on the daily, combined with Bitcoin dominance having a clear bounce off support. I'd look for a bounce off the 200 EMA. If this produces a bit of downward action, somewhat like this, right around here, that's horrible, but a bounce off that 200 EMA, I'd probably move some value back into Ethereum. But as of right now, I took my Ethereum and I turned it into REN BTC, which is Bitcoin. Cool, right? uh, I'm going to get to that. Let me look over the comments, and I'm going to continue on that thought. It's really cool. Glenn, I had Digibyte up for the whole start of the show. You'll check it out. You'll rewind when you get a second. Bada baby, yeah. Rug pulled. There's a lot of great assets, man, and there was a lot of garbage. And bear in mind, like Crypto Messiah talks about in Little Moon, there's a lot of money to be made in that garbage. You just got to get in and get out. But I don't like to trade like that. And I like to identify more of real macro narratives, like the fact that Aave is probably going to be giving mortgages, real home mortgages, based on equity in whatever the hell someone has. Crypto assets, obviously, because that's what the current platform does. You're able to have an over collateralized debt position. Now, this is real stuff. This lending and borrowing, these AMMs, these liquidity pools, um, these stable coins, such as UUSD um, and DAI, and that's what I want to get into with why I turned my Ethereum into Ren BTC for the time being until the Ethereum chart or the Bitcoin dominance chart gives me a bit of a different feeling, or at least the 24-hour gainers on the top charts give me a bit of a different feeling. Um, DeFi profits could go. Yes. Script, that's exactly what I'm thinking. DeFi profits go into UTXOs. I'm thinking they definitely go into Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin, as I said for myself, and probably for the vast majority, is your denomination of where to take profit. I hate fiat. The concept of it angers me. I don't. I fight with my wife a bit about teaching my daughter about money because I'm like, you gonna teach her about real money, or are you gonna teach her about paper garbage? Real money retains value, has an actual meaningful macro narrative instead of just garbage. It's just trash what they built, or what they turned the dollar into. It's horrible. And so I account for my gains in Bitcoin denomination. So with regard to altcoins, I think that's where you make the gains. Digibyte is going to be substantially more volatile as compared to Bitcoin, which means it's going to appreciate in price substantially more than Bitcoin, which means when it's at 30, 40, 50 cents, you better take your profits in a denomination other than you can't take denominated profits denominated in Digibyte because you're in Digibyte. So you got to take your profits in another form of value. Bitcoin, or maybe DAI, or maybe USD, or USDC, or GUSD, or fiat denominated stable coins. Christ. Don't scratch that gesture. Where's the whiteout? That was a bad gesture for live broadcast. Blue chips, script says blue chips. Okay, no, look, I talked about Apple and Tesla. I think Tesla is one of the biggest, most important companies in possibly the last 100 years, maybe bigger than what GE was when it was what it was. GE was a titan. They did everything. GE was so big that they created GE Bank. They had so much money that they created a bank. I'm telling you. And Tesla is not a car company. Period. Tesla has the capacity to change. It has already changed the entire automotive industry and is likely going to change the entire global energy industry by forcing change, because you either force change by showing companies you can make money or save money, because both of those affect the bottom line. And that is overwhelmingly what Tesla has been doing. This is why I have my price targets up. This price is, you don't buy this. I wait for this to crash, and then I buy it. I buy it when there's blood in the street, as the Buffett man says. Now, obviously, he has his investment strategy. He got to where he got to, which, great, good deal. So everyone has to come up with their own strategy. I want to buy Tesla. So what does that mean? I got to buy it after everyone else is done selling it, because they're going to sell the stock, but that has nothing to do with the company. This stock, this gamble right here, this Las Vegas casino chip, has absolutely nothing at all to do with the company. Literally, this is a casino chip with a name on it. So just remember that. Bing, bada, boom. Bada says Bitcoin 11K. Bam! Woo! I love it. Is your emotion regarding fiat a potential liability? Betting against the Fed. Good point. Um, uh, yeah. Well, talk to gold bugs. Uh, uh, wait. So I'm not overwhelming you in the gold bug camp. I'm not overwhelming you in the deflation or inflation camp. It is, cause yes, it's a potential liability, but what would the liability be? Betting against the Fed that the Fed could do what? Make the dollar good? My man. I don't think they could fix. There's nothing to fix. It's not backed by anything. It's not real. It's monopoly money. Come on. Come on. Is it a liability in that? How do you potentially even think that the dollar could outperform assets? I mean, just look at the Caracas Stock Exchange. Caracas stock market. The Fed's going to need to print because they don't want deflation. They're going to need to print. Some really great talks on Real Vision lately talking about inflation or deflation. Now, we clearly don't have inflation because they're printing. And there's a reason why. Because there's a quadrillion dollars worth of debt. And the global economy has been significantly disrupted, which means that debt is deflating, which means they could print $10 trillion dollars and leverage it to $100 trillion dollars at the Fed and still not be able to provide enough dollars to keep the global economy, the global debt-based economy, inflating. You can't inflate over a quadrillion dollar global system that's in the process of deflating with only 10% of the value. Folks on Real Vision will explain it much better than myself. Raul will talk with this kid. I think he's still in school. I forget it here. Let's see if we can pull it up real quick. He talked with this kid, and he's really good. Very smart people out there, much smarter than me with regard to global macro. Real Vision Pro. Here, look at that. Talk to this kid, Jonathan Turek. Well, watch this if you can. Um, and Lynn Alden, brilliant people. Brent Johnson, of course, and obviously Julian. Very smart people, and the reports are really great. So Real Vision, if you could afford the categories, or at least watch the free stuff, very cool stuff. So I wanted to talk about this real quick. I'm out. Have my Ethereum position in RAND BTC, and RAND BTC, it's the UMA project. So UMA is a big deal. They've done very well. UMA, number 26, top market cap. Um, they've done very well. It's relatively new, but they've done good, and they have a lot of good tech. I've trusted them with a fair amount, probably about 2 Bitcoin worth of Ethereum, give or take. Um, this is the D app, their Web3 D app that interacts with their smart contracts. I'm able to put my REN BTC into a collateralized debt position. I gave them collateral, and with that, I was able to mint 5,000 UUSD. With that UUSD, I went over to Balancer. I was able to add liquidity to this pool. You get to the pool from I got to the pool from the article from the Medium article. Not so easy to find that from Balancer for some reason. I think they've changed their user interface lately. But the point being, I add liquidity to this pool. What does that mean? That means I'm going to get two incentives. UMA is incentivizing this pool, REN is incentivizing this pool, and BAL obviously provides BAL governance tokens for incentivized compensation. Plus, I'm going to get trading fees. As people are swapping between UUSD and USDC, I'm going to get gains. For instance, let's take a look. Single asset max. Um, okay, anyway, point being, I probably have some denominated gains. I don't know why it's not showing it at the moment. So I get a fair amount of gains. So what does that mean? That means that REN and UMA are actually spending value that they have to bootstrap liquidity in this pool. And why would they do that? Because people are then encouraged to provide collateral. So it gets for the UUSD, which gets UMA is paying, so people start using their system. REN, you need REN BTC in order to collateralize the UMA UUSD position. So this is getting, so REN is paying incentives to this pool because that gets people minting REN BTC and using their system. And why would people use this pool? Why would people do this? Because here, this is the perfect example. I have 2 Bitcoin, but I was able to mint 5,000 UUSD, which is equivalent to $5,000. So I am getting 135% gains, 102% gains on $5,000. So that's $5,000 per year, denominated predominantly in UMA as compared to REN. Obviously, there's balancer gains as well as the liquidity pool gains. So this whole system works because of the incentive until the market is actually mature and these liquidity pools are self-sustaining and the gains that the liquidity pools produce are incentive enough. And I think the system will get there, especially as the global economy continues to morph into something new. So in the meantime, so if I'm getting 100% gains on my $5,000 mint, that means I'm getting 25% on my 2 Bitcoin per year. Not bad. Not bad at all. With and this is something that's worth mentioning. There's a liquidation criteria. So the liquidation is 1.25 to 1. The minimum allowed is 2.4, and I did 4.3. This is the same thing I do with MakerDAO, everyone. I have absolutely no interest in being liquidated. So when I would do MakerDAO positions, I'd have 400% collateral, way above the liquidation threshold. I literally had like $80 Ethereum liquidation. Ethereum would have to go to $80 in order for my position to be liquidated. And the same thing here. Bitcoin has to go to 3,115 for it to be liquidated. It has to be literally a 70% slash of price. So this is where odds and risk reward come in. The odds are highly against this position being liquidated. Now, where's other risk is in the contracts. Clearly, there's the risk in the REN BTC, but I myself also invested as a dark node operator, so I want to trust them, and I think they have a reason to continue their project. I think they're incentivized because their project is going to change a lot and be a major component of global finance. So I think they have all the incentive in the world to do the right thing. And that's why they've been doing this for years. I think it's just obvious as an engineer why they would want to build the product that they're building. So, and the other risk is this smart contract, this UUSD contract, and clearly I got risk in the balancer pool, the balancer smart contracts, but you know, if you look up the total TVL, transaction volume locked, total value locked on balance, they got a lot of money. Now, that's a lot. When you have a lot of money, that's a lot of incentive to find an attack vector. Um, and that's why if you wait like a fair amount of time, attack vectors weed themselves out. There's been no attacks on really like the core standard liquidity pool contracts. Like when there's like rebasing, was Ampleforth had some issues with the contracts because that just introduces unknowns and it wasn't accounted for in the balancer in the pool contract implementation. But this is just straight up based on a curve and the balancer pool rules, and there's hundreds of millions of dollars worth of reasons to attack. And they haven't had a substantial attack. And that's the same thing with Uniswap, which had over, how many billions? And Curve, over a billion at some point. So I think so that's your risk reward analysis. In my mind, I have assessed that if an attack was to occur, it would have occurred already with billions of dollars worth of potential revenue for the attacker. Um, I don't see why it wouldn't have. So I think some of the smart contracts are starting to prove themselves. And that's also the same thing in many regards with Ren. Ren currently has a TVL, total value locked, of $236 million. So there you go. Um, and they're still around. They're still here. And it's been incredible. That's it. So there you go. And that's how you do risk reward analysis. You sure as hell unaudited contracts and the sushi protocols and the hot dogs. So steer clear of ridiculousness. Stick to stuff that's proven and tested with regard to real world use, real world consumption, and real world billions of dollars. $8.95 billion, ladies and gentlemen, locked in Aave, Maker, Curve, Yearn. These, all right, fine. So the reason sushi has proven itself was because it was based on Uniswap. Okay? Oh my God, $745 million locked in Sushi Swap. Sushi Swap. Synthetics, my goodness. Where's Ren? Look at Ren catching up the WBTC, 1/3. Oh, that's incredible. Look, Balancer has $607 million. $607 million in these pools. So there you go. If something's going to happen, it would have happened already, in my opinion. There's my risk reward analysis. Here's about 2 Bitcoin, about 20 grand. Leveraged, again, about 25% interest if I held this for 1 year. The odds are I'm not going to hold it for a year because I'm keeping an eye on Ethereum, Ethereum BTC. Like if it gets near this 200 EMA on the daily, bam, that's where I would liquidate, change my REM BTC position back into Ethereum. I want to find a bottom because this is clearly a head and shoulders top. And I'm going to keep my eye on the Bitcoin dominance if this starts to fall back towards the support line. Because as of right now, it clearly bounced off and is still heading in an upward trending direction. Let's take a look at the short time frame, and we're going to jump off the stream real soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Always a pleasure. 12:40 on a Wednesday. I got a special episode coming up with Arlen from BlockNet tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be an incredible interview. You guys know how I talk about the BlockNet. I'm looking forward to understanding more about what they're doing, why they're doing, how they're doing it, how the team's doing. They've been around for years. They have such well iterated and developed software that I could only my understanding of what's going on is merely just from an outside perspective, and I look forward very much to hear words from the team. And this is going to be a wonderful, wonderful time. It's just going to be fun talking about stuff that I have seen for a long time, which is probably it's just exciting for many people because BlockNet is so obvious how it should disrupt Infura. It should be a competitor to Chainlink, and it is right there and just so close and so damn exciting that tonight's interview is going to be so much fun. So you all have a wonderful afternoon, and I thank you ever so much always for joining me. I will talk to you tomorrow and tonight and tomorrow. Y'all have a good one. Peace.